In today's video, you'll learn how to shoot a high quality corporate interview video just using a phone, a cheap lav mic, and a light stand, so you can save some money and learn how to shoot video as a marketer or a small business owner. Let's take it to the next level. Hi everyone, I'm Carl. Welcome to Next Level Video Marketing, a channel where you get the latest strategies and tips to help you achieve your marketing and business goals through video. Now remember, if this is your first time on this channel and you want to get the latest strategies to help you maximize the impact of your videos, hit the subscription button below, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. So today's video is part one of a three-part video series where I teach you how to shoot, edit, and promote a corporate interview video, one that you can use for a variety of purposes, just using your phone. As a marketer for a large or small organization, or as a business owner, sometimes we don't have the financial resources to hire a filmmaker or a video production agency to shoot some of our interviews. So I've been in many situations where we just didn't have the resources or even the time to hire a filmmaker to shoot our interviews. That's why over the past several years, I've actually learned how to shoot more professional quality interviews, obviously with higher quality cameras, lighting, and audio. But what I've learned is that you don't necessarily need all that high-end equipment. Your phone is enough. Will they replace a professional videographer or video agency? Probably not. But they're more than enough to shoot a majority of the interviews that you'll need, or to get you through in a pinch if you just didn't have time to hire. So today I want to go over three things: your gear, composition and framing, and the actual shoot itself. So for gear, you don't really need much. First of all, you need a phone. Now I have an iPhone 12 Pro, but really you can use an iPhone 6, 7, 8, I don't even know if there was a 9, 10, 11, and so on. They all shoot pretty high quality videos. For those who don't use an iPhone, I'm sure there's a lot of phones out there, Android, Windows. Even if you have a BlackBerry, they probably shoot high quality video. The minimum I would recommend is 1080p. In terms of settings, I would keep it really simple. Use your native video app and set it for 1080 or 4K. I would use 4K because I like to punch in and punch out, and I'll show you what that means when we see the final video. And 24 frames a second, just because that is a standard cinematic frame rate. You could go 30 frames a second to match sort of the news broadcast. So I would stay away from 60 frames a second because those are usually used for things like video games or sports broadcasts. So the next piece of gear, and I think it's as important, even more important than the camera itself, is the audio, and that's the lav mic. And I got a lav mic here for $30. It's iPhone specific. It's about 2 meters long because you need a cord long enough to go from your phone to your subject without having the camera too close. I got a 2 meter one. If you can find one longer, that'd be great. Again, if you don't have an iPhone, there's a lot of options available to you. I actually found one with a lightning adapter cable for 20 bucks. So the third piece of gear you'll need is a stand. I actually got a Amazon Basics light stand. It's a really simple light stand here. On top of it is I actually ripped off I guess an iPhone holder from a cheap tripod stand. That tripod stand was 10 bucks. And then I put that on top of the light stand and then attached the iPhone to it. Now, I'll show you what the entire setup looks like a little bit later on, but the light stand itself, for a single, it's 20. I actually bought two. Combo together is 40 bucks. I would recommend, if you can, also buy, it's optional, you don't need to, but I would buy these clamps. These clamps are 20 bucks as well, because that's how I actually connected a second iPhone that I wanted to get on a different angle. So the third piece of gear, and I think everybody has it, is a window. Just make sure to place your subject next to a window and use the natural light, the sun. So let's talk cost of gear. So the first one is your phone. Most of us have one. The second one is a lav mic, which is between $20 to $30. Depends on which one you get. I would recommend getting a higher quality one, especially one with a longer cable, so you don't have to move your phone too close to your subject, and you can kind of hide the mic, the cable as well. And then finally, you have the light stand. So this is 20 bucks, and then the small little tripod, $10 to $15. I would recommend, if you are gonna get a light stand, try to get both of them. So if you got the $40 double light stand plus the lav mic, which let's say it's 30 bucks. So you have $70 there, 50 to 70, even if you want to get a higher quality lav mic, to 100 bucks. $100 for all the accessories you'll need to shoot high quality corporate interview video. So the second piece I want to talk about is composition and framing. And to me, it's only second to audio in terms of importance. Nothing can throw off a viewer more than bad composition. Have you ever seen a clip on TV or the movies where it just doesn't seem right?
I've seen lonely times when I could not find. You sure this is a Phillips kid?
It could be bad composition. So I can spend hours discussing on what great composition is and how to achieve it. But what I want to do is just give you a couple key tips on how to achieve that great composition when shooting your next interview. So what is composition? Composition is actually everything within the camera frame that you're shooting. So it's your subject, what's in front, what's behind, the position, and so on. So the first tip is try to get some depth with your subject. Instead of having that person right against the wall, create some separation, anywhere between 5 to 10 feet from a wall. That way you can get some great depth and you can help isolate your subject. So the second tip is the rule of thirds. Try to place your subject in one of the thirds, either the left, the middle, or the right. For me, I'm placed on the right third. Now, the reason why I'm placed on third is it's much more pleasing to the eye. So you can see a lot of scenes, especially in movies and television shows, where the subject is on the third. So whether the person is directly talking to the camera phone or a little off to an interviewee, make sure to place that person on the third. So one little cinematic tip is make sure your camera is shooting actually on the shadow side of the face, not on the lit side. So for example here, this side of my face is lit because my key light is the window right now because I'm in my living room. But if I were you, I would recommend having the camera shoot a little bit to the side where the shadow face is. That way you can get a little bit more of a cinematic look during your interviews. So in terms of framing, what you want to try to look for is make sure your subject is symmetrical with the objects in the environment. So as you can see here with me, I'm pretty symmetrical with the paintings in the back and the couch. It would be kind of crazy if the camera is off to the side and it was a little off. Nothing's more jarring to the viewer than having something not totally symmetrical. So one tip to nail your framing is to look for leading lines. Lines that draw the attention to your subject. So as you can see here, there's leading lines from the paintings in the back and on the couch. And when we're looking at our subject, same thing, with the lines coming from the couch, the lines coming from the window, and then the lines coming from the painting in the back. So again, these are very simple tips in terms of composition and framing, but I will leave some links to great videos on more in-depth information on composition, framing, leading lines, and so on. I just wanted to give a behind the scenes look of how this interview actually looked and the setup. So as you can see, I have phone here, light stand, and the lav mic connected to my subject, which is my beautiful wife, Andrea. You may notice I have another phone, and the reason why I do this is you don't have to, this is entirely optional, is I just used my wife's phone just to give me another angle and an opportunity to add a different perspective, also hide any hard cuts that I'll do, and I'll show you in the final interview. As you can see, there is a lav mic connected to her jacket. And for composition, I have her framed in the third. I also have her framed in the third as well. And as you'll notice, she is not backed up right against the wall. There is some depth. I'm also recording on the shadow side of her face because the light is coming from her right side, just to give it, again, a little bit more cinematic look. And as you can see here, the window is pretty much providing our key light. The one thing that you might have some issue with is your key light, which is your window over here. That's because if it's a cloudy day, you can't really control the brightness of the light. Like, for example, the light right now is extremely bright. It's right in the morning. and I had to put one of our blinds down. So what you could do is actually get one of these reflectors. So one of these reflectors is $25 from Amazon. And what you can do using one of these additional light stands and this clamp that I have put on my phone because I don't have another tripod mount that I'm using for this phone right here, is you can clamp it and use it kind of like a diffuser on your subject, which then provides even a softer light. And then that way you don't really have to control for the window, or you're not at the mercy of the light from the window.
So behavioral interviewing is based on the premise that past behavior predicts future behavior. So in a behavioral interview, they'll often ask a lot of introductory questions. However, after that, they'll start asking questions to find out about things you've actually done. An example is tell me about a project you led, or tell me about something, anything you've done. The idea being that if you've demonstrated that behavior in the past, you'll do that again in the future.
So the final piece I want to talk about is the interview itself, and I just want to leave you a couple tips. The first one is make sure your subject is somewhat prepared for the interview. They don't have to memorize the lines unless you're actually using a teleprompter, but have the person at least know the general direction or some key points that they're talking about, especially if that person hasn't been on camera for a while or has never been on camera before.
I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them.
Because the worst thing that can happen is you can put that person in front of the camera, they didn't prepare at all. Be prepared for a very long day with a lot of mistakes and a lot of restarts. Speaking of restarts, make sure to let the person know that this is not live, so they can make mistakes, reset, and then go again. So one tip for you, especially if it's a longer interview, is try to shoot in chunks. So let's say there's 10 key messages you need to get through. Well, try to shoot 2 or 3 at a time, take a break, and do another 2 or 3. It provides the interview a little bit of a mental break and then helps them reset. The worst thing that you can do is try to get through all 10 perfectly, especially for someone who's never done it before. There'll be so many mistakes and you'll have to keep reshooting over and over and over again. So make sure to hit the record button early, just so you capture the entire interview. So many times I've hit the record button a little late and I've actually missed the start of the interview. Also, you, the interviewee, and anybody else in the room, try to turn off your cell phones. Nothing's worse than having a buzz, beep, or a phone ring while doing a take. When you're signing off or when you're about to finish the interview, make sure that the person keeps looking at the camera. The last thing you want them to do is finish and look off, because when you are editing, it's really tough to have to fade out or end the interview with the person looking away. So hopefully these tips will give you the confidence to shoot a high quality corporate interview without the need for a high quality camera. Again, will this replace a professional filmmaker or video production agency? No, but it will help if you don't necessarily have the resources or have the time and need to shoot an interview quickly. So watch part 2 of our 3-part series here as I show you how to quickly edit a corporate interview video, as well as this playlist for additional video marketing tips and strategies. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.